G'day everyone and welcome back to the channel. Alright, winter is here. It is freezing cold out here. I would put some gloves on, but I don't know that I actually have any. The only ones I got are for foraging, so hey. Only problem with Lala Farms coffee cup is it's so insulated, it doesn't keep your hands warm. Alright, so we're at the stage of the year that all the tuberous crops are dying back, so let's get around, have a look at them and do some harvesting. In here we have some jicama in with the borage. Borage is putting on a second growth, but gonna pull it up. I don't have much hopes for the jicama, but we're gonna pull it up and see what happens. Same with that one. Harvested a heap of my sweet potato, and what's left was starting to suffer a bit from the cold. All the cuttings that I put back in, so I've given them some little hats and hopefully that will keep them going. All right, we have the Chinese artichoke that is ready for harvesting. Tops all died back, so ready to come up. Tucked in here we have the Chinese potato, which isn't a potato and it's not Chinese, but it's called a Chinese potato. It's actually a member of the mint family, so that one's dying back, ready for a harvest, so we'll pull that up. Oca, or the New Zealand yam, these are at the stage they're starting to get a bit of cold, they're starting to hurt a little, so we will pick these. The taro, apart from being really in need of a whippersnipper around them, my son borrowed my whippersnipper and I haven't seen it for months, but they seem to be holding in okay. They're suffering a little bit, but they're still going, so I don't think I'm going to pull those at the moment. The carrots seem to be okay, but I think they're doing some wild and wacky things. There's a piece of carrot on the surface. It looks like it comes from this one. It does come from that one. So there's that one harvested. The rest of them I'll just leave them, pick them as I need them. Astrid absolutely loves carrots. This little planter over here already cleaned up all the carrots out of that, so that's just got the sweet potato starts left in it. Purple potatoes are doing good at the moment, and some of the standard potatoes have died right back, so we need to do some harvesting in here as well. And of course we've got our beautiful spices that need to come out as well. We've got two types of turmeric that I bought as plants. We've got the ginger, which came from the store, and we've got the turmeric that came from the store. Both of those came up, so they need to come out as well. Chinese artichoke. All that green matter. Looks like we've got some harvest in there. A very weird looking tuber. They can be treated much like a potato. You can bake them, mash them, all those wonderful things. So there we go, let's clear out the rest of them. All right, there we go, not a bad little harvest. That was off a single plant, its first year. I will hold some tubers over and replant for next year. A couple things to note. It's a lot quicker to harvest without a 3-year-old granddaughter picking up every worm. I have some nice healthy worm population in most of my grow bags, which is awesome. Also, they tend to grow right down to the bottom, and don't grow it in an area that you don't want to keep it, because it's really hard to find all the little tubers in the ground. Grow bag's perfect for it because you can tip it out and sort through the soil. Okay, next up our Chinese potato, which is African and not Chinese at all, but hey. Okay, you can see it started to ground propagate in a couple of places. There's our little tubers off it. And let's see if we've got some more in there. All right, well that was pretty disappointing. Absolutely nothing in there. It is fairly southern to be growing them, but I hoped it'd produce. I've got those two little tubers. If they make it through, then I'll replant those come next year. All right, our jicama. I'm really not holding my breath on this. It really did not vine so well. Okay, that one looks like it's another swing and a miss. All right, bag number 2 of the jicama. And that there is our tuber. It's absolutely record breaking, isn't it? Oh, these things happen. Yeah, a bit south for them, so wasn't hoping for too much, and I was rewarded by not getting too much. Our oca, or New Zealand yam. So let's get this grass out. Oh, bonus onion green. That's about all it is, the green. Hang on, there's a couple more. There we go. They must have sprung back up from the summer's ones. That is the beautiful New Zealand yam, or the oca. Now these do have a fairly high oxalic acid content. Once they're harvested, they need to sit on a windowsill or something, get some sunlight on them, just to help break down that oxalic acid. All right, so not massive numbers out of that first one. A few good eating tubers. But yeah, nothing really to write home about so far. You can see after 2 years, these totes are starting to break down a bit. So they may be due for recycling really soon. The soil in here is fantastic, full of worms. Because they're sitting on the ground and they're open to the ground, the worms can get in there, so it's a really good soil now. It's certainly not the potting mix that it started out as. The second container, you can see there's a fair few developed on the surface, and they've also been attacked as well. So it looks like slaters, pill bugs, whatever you want to call them, have had a nibble on it. There's some decent looking ones. All right, bit better out of number 2. Okay, number 3. A few more onions going on. Cool, nice little bonus harvest. I had planted them together when I started out, these containers, and most of the onions died back over summer and they've come on again. Again, like the Chinese artichoke, these are a plant it in the place you want to grow it plant. These little tubers here, that one's tiny, that one's a little bit bigger. They will sprout again next year and they will form the plant up all over again. So it's either in the place you want to grow it or else in a container garden. Another day, another harvest. We've got a bit more daylight. This one is one of my store-bought turmerics, Temula Wok. I know I'm messing that name up. Let's have a look, see how it went. Yeah, this has grown really weird for a turmeric. I don't have experience with this one previously, but we've got these nodules out on the end there. So I'm assuming I can use those as a turmeric. Let's break it apart. I'll go give this a wash up. As I said, really weird growth patterns. That's more what I expect to see just here. That looks like the original turmeric corm. Clear up some dead stuff. But all I'm going to do is just cut them off just above that bulb section. Like so, and I'll just let these dry off, store them in a cool damp place, cool dry place, sorry, and see what happens with them next year. If I need any turmeric, then I might harvest these sort of fleshy roots and see how we go with that. I reckon they're gonna work as a turmeric, but yeah, I'm not used to this plant. This is a new one for me, and the growth is a little bit different than I was expecting. Okay, this one here, again, this is another bought from a nursery. This is a Madras turmeric. Alright, let's give this one a rinse. Okay, this one's a bit more like what I was expecting. We have here what looks like the parent tuber. We'll save that and see if it shoots for next year. And in there we've got that palm sort of shape of tubers. Okay, a bit better when it's cleaned up. So as you can see, we've got that sort of palm shape of tubers, which is great. And again, we'll just cut it up just above that bulge and put that in our cold dry space. I'll clean up this lot too. Okay, there's the rest of that cleaned up. One little piece fell off. As you can see, it was starting to sprout up towards making new plants. So again, we'll just put that in that cool dry spot for the winter, and once the weather starts to warm, these shoots start to develop a bit more, it can go in.
You're welcome.
So here we have our store-bought ginger, store-bought turmeric. Let's see how those went.
So do you tap along the sides to loosen it?
Yep.
See, I know things.
And I'm quiet because I'm filming it. This is our little piece of ginger that died back early with a worm in the middle of there. You can see the piece that went in the ground's rotted. There was a little bit of development. Out you come, Mr. Worm. That's either a small piece I can use, or we see if it reshoots next year, and I reckon we'll get some reshoots off it.
Just the temperature.
Okay, so again, that's our originator piece. As you can see, not looking as pretty. We'll snap that off. You could use that. I wouldn't, just because it's had that time in the ground. It's starting to get a bit of rot on it. You can cut that away and still use it as ginger, but yeah, no. I have plenty. Most of the growing tips are busted off, but we'll just snip that last one off. Okay, so we have a beautiful palm of ginger and also this little one. So some of that will get used over the winter time and some of it will go back in the ground next year.
You know what I've been watching recently?
I have no idea what you've been watching.
Bob's Burgers.
Congratulations.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, a little store-bought
You're in.
turmeric. Not massive development, but there's some development there. There it is, all cleaned up. As you can see, we've got a bit of a corm there. You know, it's certainly not a nice big palm like you'd be hoping for, but there is a couple little corms coming off it. So hopefully next year, when we put this one back in the ground, we will get some good growth. My little helper's come to help with this part because she loves harvesting potatoes. Don't you?
Come here.
Hey, Munchkin, quick!
Go get the potato. She doesn't have a bucket, remember?
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to empty a bucket. I don't think I have an empty bucket. There's more over there. Gentle. There you go. There's a baby one, yeah. You got a baby one? There's a baby one. Little one.
When?
You got two? You got that. It's not a rock. It's just dirt. It'll break apart. Yeah. That's why you know it's not a rock, because you can break it. White potatoes. You got a big one? Yep, in there. Oh, look, a purple one. It's not yak, it's a purple potato. Yeah, you better take that off.
What's its name?
Mr. Worminson. No? I do? Alright, you play with your worm. Alright folks, let's have a final look at everything before I put it all away, which is why the Hessian sack's there. That's what I store my potatoes in. They get hung up in a Hessian sack, keeps them nice and dry, stops them rotting. Alright, so we've got this little bonus harvest of potatoes. You know, not a lot, but it's the middle of winter and I'm still pulling potatoes out of the ground. There's still more potatoes growing out there, and I've replanted the pots, plus, yeah, these ones with a bit of green on them. They will be going back into the ground. We've got our carrot, which I pulled up because it looked weird. A few bonus onions, sweet. The Chinese artichokes. Look, not a massive haul off it, but it was only a single plant. My first plant of it, so not disappointed in it at all. The Oka, or New Zealand yams, that started as a couple little plastic bags of yams. You know, there was probably half a dozen of this size in each bag. When you compare that to the ones that came out, you know, certainly a win there. As I said, they need the ockers need to get some sunshine just to bring down the oxalic acid. The other thing is just make sure they cook really well. So yeah, pretty happy with the harvest out of that. My store-bought ginger, you know, what's not to be happy here? The little one didn't do so well. The one that did eventually take off has gone great guns. And there will certainly be some more ginger plants coming off that for next year. This one here is my store-bought turmeric, which I'd given up for dead. I'd planted it and hoped that maybe it was going to come through. And, you know, it came through. It's not huge, but I've got a little something to put back next year. And this is going to grow a lot better than that store-bought one that I had put in originally. So, really happy with that. We have there the Madras turmeric. You know, that's given a really good harvest. Really happy with that. So there's plenty of usable turmeric out of that, plus some to plant back next year. Last up we have this one, which is that Temulawaka. As I said, it's really weird. Normally turmeric grows in that palm sort of shape, same as ginger. This seems to have tubers forming on the end of roots, more like a potato. So I will experiment with it as I cook. And we'll leave it dry off a bit. And again, we'll plant back what shoots for next year. Our jicama, just there. And a Chinese potato, both really disappointing. The big question is, was it me? Was it the way I was growing? Was it the lack of water during the year that had this effect on it? So they will get grown again, and I'll see whether I can improve the way I'm growing them and get a better harvest out of them. So yeah, look, not everything's a winner. Not everything's going to give you back a bunch more than you started with. Sometimes, you know, you kill a few plants, or you get some really poor harvests, and that helps you to learn too. There's our little harvest for middle of winter. You know, as I said, it's not a huge harvest, but it is food that's going to fill that hungry gap in between, you know, your autumn stuff being ready in early spring and the last of the summer harvest. So yeah, look, not disappointed at all. It is a little bit of food to go in. I'll probably chop up some potatoes and add some of this Chinese artichoke to it for dinner tonight. A few onions in there, and you know, that way I can get a taste of these Chinese artichokes and see what they're like. All right, thank you very much everyone for watching, and bye for now.